All right. So my name is Patrick Amos, and right now I'm a Salesforce engineer slash consultant, and I've been doing Salesforce for just over a little bit over a year now, and everything's going pretty great with that.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for taking some time to come hang out with me. Most of you guys listening to this don't know, but Patrick and I happen to live in the same town in Florida. So this worked out pretty well, and we're hoping we can maybe sync up in person
Yeah.
for the next video. So we're going to make that happen. So as you may have noticed, Patrick is relatively young for being a Salesforce engineer slash consultant. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind, sort of tell us what your setup is now. How old are you? What's your situation with school right now? All that fun stuff.
Right. So I just turned 19, I think 5 days ago. And yeah, so for school, I just wrapped up high school, and I plan to go to community college next year. And like I have this upcoming semester coming up already. And then after that, I plan to transfer to USF to get a degree in business.
Yeah, so that's probably pretty shocking for most people to hear. It's not your typical story. Obviously, I know this story somewhat, but 19 years old, just turned 19. So last week you were 18.
Yeah.
You just finished up high school, getting ready for your first semester of college. And you mentioned something that, for our math people out there, they're probably saying, I think he just said he's already been doing this for a year. Mm-hmm. How is this possible? So if you want to sort of take us back, are you certified? And if you are, like, how long ago did you get started on this path? And I guess what have you been up to in that last year?
Right. So yes, I am certified. I am a Salesforce certified admin, platform app builder, and advanced admin. And I got those a little over a year ago. I think my first one was July 2020. And yeah, I got started with Trailhead over a year ago as well. I think a little bit before June, and it's been going really well so far. Yeah, so my brother actually met a MuleSoft developer, and he told him what he did, and we were both very interested in what he had to do. He set us up on Trailhead by the following week, and he kind of just explained that it was a cloud-based software, and it wraps up your marketing and your customer service and your sales process and a lot more, actually. So yeah, he told us what it was, and that different people implement it and others write code for it. And then there's a lot of in-between jobs that you can do. So there's pretty much something out there for everybody that wants to get into it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So at the time, if it's a little over a year ago, so you're probably right, 17, like almost 18, right in there somewhere. And I think for any, high school kids or even, college kids, or even the parents of high school and college kids, they're probably looking at this going, all right, is this something that's repeatable? Is this something we should be at least like taking a look at to see if it's something that's possible for us? But before we do that, I've heard some of the story you just mentioned, and that's your brother meets this guy. He's a MuleSoft developer. So for those of you who don't know, MuleSoft is this enterprise integration platform, and it was purchased, I believe, 2020, maybe 2019 by Salesforce. So they have definitely acquired MuleSoft, and that's become part of their product suite. But it's really interesting that, I think a lot of people work at MuleSoft or they work in the Salesforce ecosystem, but it's not every day they talk to a 17, 18-year-old and pique their interest about what they do. So what was your brother up to that he had the opportunity to have that type of conversation? Is he just one of those super outgoing people, or what happened there?
Yeah, he actually is very outgoing, and he actually was doing like a car detailing business last year. And this was during quarantine, and he was getting everything set up. So he would meet a lot of people, and he was just making conversation, like, what do you do for a living? And this guy had a very nice GTR. So he's like, how did you get this? So he explained to him that he worked with Salesforce, and obviously he had never heard of it because he was just young and he hasn't had to deal with many softwares like that. So he explained what Salesforce was and that he was a developer for it. So he was like, wow, this sounds really cool because you can work remotely and the pay is pretty great as well. So I'm going to get my brother over here and you can help explain it a little bit more to both of us. And then, yep, he got us signed up on Trailhead and got us on Udemy and showed us some different courses on both. And then he set up a trail mix for us. So yeah, he really helped jumpstart everything. And he's been my mentor and great friend ever since.
That is so cool. And I think that speaks to that sort of the Salesforce community at large. It's just it's a lot of, not everyone, but a lot of the people in the Salesforce community are just always willing to, help somebody out. It's a very generous community. All right. So now that we sort of understand the foundation there, you've got, all right, so your brother's doing car detailing. Sees a guy, he's got this awesome car. He's like, what do you do for a living?
Right.
He's part of the Salesforce ecosystem, goes way out of his way, gets you guys set up on Trailhead, explains sort of what Salesforce is. And then you head back home and just dive in head first. And keeping in mind, you're in high school at the time. So you dive in head first and you just start working down these certification pathways. And I think you said you have 3 certifications now.
Yes.
Like that's crazy. Like there are Salesforce professionals that don't have 3 certifications and they've been at it for years. So that's really incredible. So how do you, sit in high school and then go, some people are working jobs or they're trying to get certifications and it can be difficult to find the time. Now, we all know that high schoolers are sort of all over the place. It's hard to get kids at 17 years old to focus on anything, much less a ancillary certification outside of what they're required to do. How did you balance high school and sort of this passion hobby project of getting certifications? And I know the answer to this, so I'm comfortable asking. Are you like one of those kids who's like in your room all day on the computer, or do you have a life outside of what you're trying to accomplish in this sort of Salesforce career path, if you will?
Yeah, so I do have a life. I don't really enjoy staying in my room all day, but obviously I can do it for Salesforce because I have a lot of fun learning about Salesforce and working with it, because it's kind of just like another class for high school at the end of the day. It's just like taking another like computer science class, if you can really want to think about it like that. But yeah, I took Trailhead and I started that at the beginning of like quarantine. So since then I've been doing trails and I really enjoyed getting badges and points and all that. And then obviously studying for the certifications and using different sources to study for those, because I had no previous experience with it. So I couldn't really base my knowledge off anything yet. So I had to do a lot of studying on my own with Trailhead and focus on Force. But yeah, I had to balance a lot between school, and I did varsity soccer all 4 years of high school. And then my senior year, I was actually captain. So there's a little bit more that even went into that. But yeah, I still had lots of friends in high school. So I was still getting invited to stuff. And this whole time I was able to do Trailhead as well, because I enjoyed it. And I was obviously able to do it when I wanted. But I also made time for it because I actually really enjoyed learning it, because it's quite fun. It really is like a class that you're not getting graded on. So it actually just makes it even more fun because there's no pressure. It's just something that you can learn to enjoy. And even if you don't want to go into it, it just gets you thinking about going into IT or programming or development. It kind of just gets you thinking about how to think logically, because computer science and programming really gets you to do that as well. So it can kind of help you figure out what you want to do in college or just with your life later on.
Yeah, I think that's a really clear perspective. Being able to say, it's just another class. Like if I spend an hour with it a day, that's the same as class. If I do 30 minutes of homework, that's the same as class. Like it's just another class, but it's not as, there's not as much responsibility, and you sort of get to move at your own pace and focus on the things you want to focus on. So through this, did you have any, are there people in your circle, like friends or family, that you've sort of roped into this? Because I can tell you're really excited about it. So if you and your brother got started with it, I have to imagine you guys, probably did a little Salesforce evangelism.
Right. So yes, actually I did rope a few people into this because you start explaining what you do and that you work remotely, the pay is good, and it's just actually pretty entertaining to learn about it, and it gets you thinking a lot more. So my dad, actually, he's kind of been like the IT person in our house for my entire life. And every time we have a question about it, or like a question about computers or software, he's always the guy to go to. And well, luckily I don't have to do that as much anymore, but sometimes I still have to when I need to set up a printer or something like that. So yeah, I got my dad into it because he's been running his own business for 20 years in like the healthcare profession. So he's had to do all the IT and software and computer stuff on his end for the last 20 years by himself. So yeah, I told him what I did, and he's watched me do like tasks and projects for companies, or he's just watched me do stuff on Trailhead. And it's like, that looks really cool. So I helped get him started, just how my mentor got me started. And yeah, everything's going really good for him. He's been, sorry. So yeah, he's been working on Trailhead, and he's really enjoyed that. He loves the community because, yes, everyone in Salesforce is really nice, the Ohana and all that. So yeah, he's actually a certified admin too now, and he's working on his platform app builder. He's a part of like Trailhead Military and the Hiring Our Heroes program, Maravis, and Talent Stacker. And then he actually got my mom into it as well. So yeah, both of them work at it together, either at their office or at home. And then I help out with them when I can, when they're doing different projects for these programs, or if they have a question about a trail or a challenge that they're having difficulty with, then I'm kind of their guy to go to for now. And then I've also gotten both my sisters into it. One of them wasn't crazy about it, so that's okay. I mean, it's not for everyone. If you don't enjoy it, then I'm not going to force you to do it. But my oldest sister is actually a graphic designer, and so she already works remotely, and she knows how much she enjoys that. So she's kind of interested in what I'm doing, because the whole family's pretty much getting into it at this point. So yeah, we set her up on Trailhead the other day, and then her husband is going to take a look into it as well.
It's too much. I mean, you guys are going to be going to local Salesforce meetups, and it's just going to be a family reunion. That is awesome, and I think that just shows. It's that community spirit. It's that this really is so good that you want to rope everyone into it, and it's not a multi-level marketing scheme where you're trying to rope your family in so you can make 10% of what they buy. It's you realize just how powerful this is, and what a career it can be, and how it can shape your life. And it's hard to sit on that information when you have it right in front of you. So that's an amazing story. But I think people are, number one, they need to digest what they just heard, because that is a lot to take in, to think, my kids, or if I'm in high school or college, this could be for me, or someone I know that is young or has kids that are younger. Like, there's so much impact that can be made. And the amazing thing that I don't think we've harped on much is that all this training on Trailhead is free. And I think most people know that, but Salesforce knows no barriers. And I mean that in that it doesn't matter if you're wealthy, if you're middle class, if you're growing up under the poverty line. I mean, really the barriers to this are access to a computer that has internet. I mean, am I missing anything? Like, access to a computer that has internet.
Yeah. So like, if you do have a laptop or a computer, then it's as simple as just opening a new tab, really. And then if you don't have those things, if you can get to a community library or somewhere else that will give you access to a computer, I mean, it's as simple as that. You can get yourself set up on Trailhead and just start chugging away, really.
Yeah. And I can tell you for a fact. Yeah. I mean, go to a public library, whatever you need to do. But we talked a little bit about how communal the Salesforce ecosystem is. And I can pretty well promise you, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, or, Patrick, or you join a Trailblazer community, we will get you hooked up with someone in your area. So if you come to us and you say, I don't have access to a computer, I don't have access to internet, and you need a connection in your local area, we will make sure that we get you hooked up with somebody who can get you a computer and can find internet access so you can do this. So, I mean, truly, there is no reason you can't move forward
Right.
with at least attempting to get started with this. So I think that's a pretty amazing thing. So I think sort of the next step is we sort of get how you got started. It was, sort of this, I mean, you could call it a freak occurrence, but really your brother's out there talking to a lot of different people. And I happen to know your brother's getting into real estate also. So it's really just a matter of networking with individuals and asking them what they're up to. But lucky for you, you don't have to do that because you're watching this video right now. So you're covered. We're going to share it with you. And so you find out about Salesforce. You don't say, hey, I'm going to wait till summer break. I'm going to wait until high school's over. I'm going to go to college first, and then I'll see if I want to do Salesforce. You just go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
You really enjoy it. Now, I think a lot of people are going, yeah, but you're 17, 18, 19. Really, this is all about a career and getting paid. Like, you're building the skills, no doubt, but are you going to make any money off of this? Like, how do you have a plan for turning this into a career, or is this going to end up being a hobby that just sort of passes you by and it's this fun thing you did while you were in high school?
Right. So I definitely do plan to make this a career. And I mean, yes, college is good and it's great on your resume, but so is 4 years experience in Salesforce. I mean, I probably will end up doing college and Salesforce at the same time. So hopefully I can do both at once, which I do believe I can do. But yeah, I do plan to make this career. And even if you don't want to make this career, if you just want to do it for a year or two, or if even less, if you need, I mean, that's great on your resume. It's a job and it's a high paying job. I mean, you can see the different statistics on the different employment rates for admins and developers and architects. And yeah, it does look very promising. And those are just averages. So there are a lot of people that make more. And unfortunately, there are people that make less than those averages. But I mean, still, the averages are way above like the average income for an American. So yeah, that's definitely piqued my interest. I mean, I enjoy learning about software as well, but obviously the pay doesn't hurt either.
Yeah. And have you had the opportunity to, do any like internships, or have you had people reach out about jobs if you wanted to go that route now? I mean, do you have anything underway? Because I know, if it were me, I would be torn between going to college and starting a career. Do you feel like the potential is there to start a career if you wanted to right now?
Yes, I definitely do. And while I was actually in high school still, I finished getting my 3D certifications the summer before my senior year. And my MuleSoft developer helped me get on LinkedIn. And that's where I met a lot of people like Bradley. And yeah, I started networking with different people and kind of getting my name out there on my own. And then my mentor also kind of just shot out my email to a lot of different places that he used to work at and just people that he's friends with in the ecosystem. And yeah, I ended up getting a paid internship at a company in California. And I got put on some projects there and got to work directly with clients rather than just kind of having to sit in the background. But yeah, I got to speak to them and kind of gather requirements and produce solutions. And yeah, it was just really great. And I've actually transferred to a different company now as a contractor, and I'm still looking for new opportunities. So yeah, everything's going really good.
Nice. That's outstanding. And I imagine even at these, internship contract roles while you're, 18 years old, 19 years old, a lot of people your age are working at a local fast food restaurant or a car wash or in the service industry, maybe a retail, at a mall or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they're making, bottom line $7.25. And if they're lucky, they might, be bragging about how they make 10 or 15 bucks an hour. Yeah. And I imagine you're probably not doing bad compared to those numbers. Yeah. No. So that is exceptional that those opportunities are there. And again, it's about immersing yourself in the community. Mm. And LinkedIn is a great place to do that and get to know people. And I think stories like this are definitely getting the word out that you can do this as someone who's, not 30 years old. And, we've spoken before about, you sort of had this bug that told you, I don't want to define my career at 22 or 27 or 30. Why wouldn't I go ahead and shape my career now? And I think that's, That's pretty powerful and it's very insightful. And obviously you have had some great guidance. But there's a difference between having great guidance and actually listening and taking action. And I'm sure a lot of people get really good guidance and look back and go, I probably should have listened to that person.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people who are, maybe it's parents of college or high school kids, or it's actually, the random high school kid watching this. What would you say to those individuals who, they want to follow the standard path? I mean, my parents told me you got to go to college. My grandparents told my parents you got to go to college. My parents fully expect that I'm going to tell my kid that they have to go to college. What would you say to those individuals who are now, seniors or juniors in high school, or they might even have started college and they're still going, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I would do that other than mom and dad said so. And they don't have direction. Is it a viable path to try to go to college and do Salesforce, or, not go to college maybe for just a temporary, like a semester or a year or something, and see if Salesforce might be for you? Is there any leeway there?
Right. So I'll definitely be the first to admit that growing up, I thought you had to go to college to get a good paying job. And that's what a lot of people that I know, like a lot of people hear that from their parents, like you have to go to college or you're not going to get a good job without getting that degree. But that's just not true these days. There's a lot of different paths that you can go, whether you want to do like a trade school, or just start working on your own, try to build a business. Like, yeah, there are a lot of different things. And I would definitely advise people to try out like a lot of different things, because I've got friends that don't know what they want to do with their life. So I'm like, it's really easy to say what you don't want to do versus what you do want to do. And that's the main problem with trying to figure out your job or what your degree is going to be. But yeah, just definitely try out different things. So like try to network with people. LinkedIn is great for that, especially like during COVID and everything. You don't want to go out and meet new people. Like just try to network with other people, like message CEOs or different owners of like programs like Bradley. And yeah, I just try to find different people and ask for advice, because chances are that if you ask the 100 people, there'd be at least one person that's willing to like take you under their wing and be a mentor for you. They can explain what they do and how to like the fast track to get to where they did. Because my mentor took a few years to figure out like how to get started on Salesforce and really get the ball rolling. But he wasn't as young as I was. I mean, he had already had a job and his company started to use Salesforce. So yeah, that's kind of how he got introduced to it. And he was like, I love this, but I don't know where to start. So luckily for me, he kind of put me on the fast track. So what he did in like 2 or 3 years, I did in like 6 to 8 months. Like, yeah, I mean, just networking has really helped me out. And then finding different people on LinkedIn. I mean, it's as simple as just sending a message, just making a new connection.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a really good point that, a lot of people take the brute force do it yourself approach, and they're like, okay, I've heard about Salesforce, I'm going to figure it out. I don't need any help. I don't want guidance. I don't want, not only do I not want to pay for a program, but I don't even want to hear like anybody else's opinion on this. Like, I'm just going to move forward myself. And that can cost you like time, energy, money, everything. And so, I mean, obviously you're pretty, you're pretty intelligent to listen to that guidance, because you're absolutely right. I've seen people, take 2 to 3 years to go from knowing what Salesforce is to starting their career. And I've seen people take 2 to 3 months to do the exact same thing. And it really is incredible, with the right guidance, how fast you can move forward. And it's not a shortcut. It's just doing all the right things in the right order.
Right.
That is awesome. So I guess I think we sort of know what's next for you. I mean, it sounds like you're going to head to college. You're going to I imagine you're going to keep working in your Salesforce contract role. And so is the goal there to finish up college, get that degree under your belt, so that you have that as a foundation, and then dive into a full-time career? Is that the thought right now? I mean, stuff could change, but is that the thought right now?
Yeah, so things can definitely change. But my next 3-year plan is, well, since I got enough credits from high school, I've already finished or completed half of my AA. So I was just going to do community college and wrap up the rest of my AA. and then transfer to USF. So I would love to do Salesforce the whole time that I'm doing that. So I believe if I take some online classes and finish them up a little bit quicker, then that'll leave me enough time to work part-time or just get 10 to 15 hours a week with Salesforce. And even if I'm not getting paid for it, I'll just continue on Trailhead or just continue to study for other certifications. Because I mean, I can always make time for Salesforce, really. But,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, even if you just poke around for, I mean, you've already got a year under your belt. And even if you just poke around and get a year or two under your belt over the next, while you're going to college, I mean, you're going to come straight out of college making easy 6-figure income. So, I mean, that's pretty incredible for what most people are seeing. You don't even have to come out of college. You can make easy 6-figure income if you drop out your sophomore year. So that is an amazing path forward. So is there anything else you would want to share on sort of what we've covered today or anything else before we sort of wrap up the conversation?
I would just definitely say like test the waters for different things. Even if you're not really interested in like what Salesforce is, like just test the waters with like different job opportunities and try to figure out what you want to do in life before it's too late. Because you don't want to be like 30, 40, or 50 years old and you're just getting your life started. I mean, I definitely didn't want to wait that long, and that's kind of why I encouraged myself to get started during high school. And I mean, if you do still want to do college, you can go for that. If you want to take a gap year and kind of try different things, try out Salesforce, see if you like it, then that's definitely worth it. Because if there's a time in your life to do it, it's definitely while you're younger. I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to switch careers at like 30 years old and having to struggle between a full-time job and then also trying to get started on something else. So if you can make the time to do something like this, or just the time to make yourself smarter or stronger, I mean, whatever you want to do, like definitely go for it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out for me, Patrick. And we will definitely circle back and have some more conversations around topics like this.
Yeah, that sounds great.